On December the 5th, 1998, 80-year-old Derrick Engebretson travelled to Pelican Butte with his father and grandfather near Rocky Point, Oregon. Despite only being 8 years old, the wilderness was a second home for Derrick. As an infant, his mother would put him in a pack and take him on bear hunts. As he grew, so did his love for the outdoors. Derrick always carried his trusty hatchet with him, making tiny marks on every passing tree. Like for many children, Christmas was an exciting time for Derrick, and this trip was just the start. The three had planned to look for a Christmas tree. At some point during the excursion, Derrick wandered away from his father Robert and grandfather Bob. Upon noticing his son was missing, Robert immediately ran back into the forest. He had to find Derrick, and he had to do it quickly. Daylight was fading and heavy snow was beginning to fall. Robert frantically searched for his son, shouting out his name constantly, but there was no response. Robert notified a passing motorist around 4:13 p.m. The motorist travelled to a nearby resort approximately 2 miles away, where he placed a phone call to 911. Law enforcement would arrive 2 hours later and quickly started searching. Derrick's parents stated that their son had grown up in the mountains and was used to walking distances of 20 miles in steep terrain. In the hours immediately after Derrick's disappearance, his family and law enforcement discovered small footprints in the snow, which made a loop from the location where his father had last seen him to a clearing near the road, where a snow angel, presumably left by Derrick, was found. A snowplow had obliterated the tracks that led away from the snow angel, and no additional footprints were found. Several tree indents were found, presumably from his small hatchet he was carrying. In the late evening, a blizzard hit the area, hampering search efforts. Initial searches were completed by foot, with search canines as well as aerial searches using a Civil Air Patrol plane and an Air Force Reserve helicopter. Several relatives also undertook independent searches. Police questioned Robert and Bob, who each agreed to take a polygraph test. Both passed their polygraphs and were cleared. Volunteers then discovered a makeshift shelter, a candy wrapper and a bookmark from Derrick's school. Derrick loved reading. The bookmark was intriguing, but authorities failed to connect the findings to Derrick's disappearance. A shelter made of fir boughs under several fallen logs was located on the mountain, but search dogs were unable to detect his scent there, and due to the extreme conditions of the area, law enforcement speculated he would have quickly succumbed to the elements. On December the 13th, 1998, 8 days into the investigation, police suspended their search. Derrick's family continued independent search efforts and camped at the site in a donated camper van over the following 2 weeks, while hundreds of volunteers continued to organise search efforts. On December the 18th, further search efforts were terminated due to sub-zero temperatures, which made it unsafe for anyone to travel through the area. Over the next few months, more than 10,000 hours were spent performing ground searches. Early in the investigation, a witness claimed to have seen an unidentified man struggling with a young boy in the area during the day Derrick disappeared. The witness, however, ignored the event, as they had assumed the man was the boy's father. Additional reports were made of an unidentified man driving a 2-door Honda, asking passers-by for directions in the forest on that day. On September the 24th, 1999, Graffiti was discovered in a bathroom at a rest area approximately 300 miles south of Portland that law enforcement identified as being referential to Derrick's disappearance. Derrick's parents drove to view the graffiti upon being notified, and his mother stated to the press, "I think it's just a big, sick joke." A portion of the wall was removed and sent to a state laboratory for analysis. The contents of the graffiti were never made public. In 2004, investigators announced that convicted child rapist Frank J. Milligan is the prime suspect in Derrick's disappearance. Milligan, a former aide in a children's psychiatric ward, is serving a 60-year prison sentence for kidnapping a 10-year-old boy in 2000, raping and slashing his throat. The child survived the attack. Milligan was also convicted of sexually abusing an 11-year-old boy. An inmate told police that he bragged about killing the missing boy while in prison. When authorities confronted him, Milligan confessed to killing the child. He said he would plead guilty to the murder if he was spared the death penalty. He offered to lead investigators to his body, but a search turned up nothing, and Milligan later recanted his confession. Bob, the last person to see Derrick alive, passed away in 2012. He never found out what happened to his grandson.